Hello, everyone. Today I am very excited to be interviewing Zxyvixs, who is the vocalist of the Ogre Packet Slammers, Manalyth, Ascension of Azreal? Azrael?
So,
Azrael? Okay, awesome. And his own solo project. So thank you so much for being here today.
thank you for having me.
Of course.
Yes, sir.
I fell in love with the Ogre Packet Slammers in 2021, so I have a ton of questions, but you have an amazing, impressive discography outside of the Ogre Packet Slammers as well, so I'm excited to dive into everything.
Okay. All right.
Awesome. So, you have a YouTube channel. As far as I could tell from the timelines of your bands, you started posting on your YouTube channel first, and it looks like since 2016. So, how long did you do vocals before you started your channel, and what inspired you to create your YouTube channel?
I think I was doing vocals for maybe like a year or a year and a half, 2 years before I started my channel. Um, yeah, so originally I was doing covers on this karaoke app called Smule, and they have like a, they have like some metal songs on it. So I would do those. And I met this one dude and another dude and this other girl. Like we just kind of like started like our own little group and started doing a bunch of covers over and over all the time, like just between us four. And I think either I mentioned it or someone else mentioned it that I should start a YouTube channel. So I just went with that and then started posting once I felt comfortable enough with my vocals on Smule.
That's so awesome. What a like fun way to start through the app. I never use that app, but I imagine it's like what TikTok used to be, like musically.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, nice. What a fun start. And so what kind of inspired you to want to do heavy vocals? Like when did you get into heavy music and what made you particularly want to be a vocalist? Cuz like when you get into the music there's so many routes you can go like with instruments. So what inspired you personally to be a vocalist?
Um Well, I tried to play instruments before, but I don't really have the like patience to like really stick with it. And vocals, it's very I could just do it whenever. And there's something about lows. I really like lows, and when I was starting to get into like the metalcore genre and deathcore, I think the first band I heard with like lows was Asking Alexandria. And once I heard that, I was like, wow, I really want to replicate that. So I remember one day I was just trying to scream along to the song and it really hurt my voice. I was like, there's no way these people are on tour screaming and it hurts their voice. So I knew there was a proper way to do it. So I looked it up that night. And that night I figured out how to do it. And ever since then, I just started doing vocals.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that because I feel like a lot of people who are interested in doing like I guess the harsher screaming style vocals encounter that same type of experience where it's like, oh, it hurts, but figuring out the right way to do it. And I know just from talking to like vocal coaches and stuff that everybody kind of has a different timeline for figuring out how to do it properly. So it's awesome that you like literally figured it out that same day. Do you remember which video you found? Was it like Melissa Cross or
Um,
something newer?
I watched a couple that night, but the one that really clicked with me was the ex vocalist from Rings of Saturn, Ian Bear. He had made a how-to video and I watched that and that really like resonated with me.
That's good to know. I'll have to search for that, and if I find it, I'll add it in the links for anyone who's looking for something like that. Because it sounded like it was a really good video. Um, and hello, hi Virginia. Thank you for being here and joining us. And then we have Manolith Official, one of your fans joining us here today. So awesome. Um, Okay, so your very first video that you posted was "Thy Art Is Murder," Reign of Darkness vocal cover, and your vocals are already incredibly monstrous and diverse with the range, even though you weren't using any kind of fancy equipment or anything. So I know you said you started posting videos once you started feeling confident, but from that time when you figured out, like that night when you figured out how to do the vocals properly, how long did it take you to feel like really confident?
Um, I'm gonna say like maybe 6 months because my family, they're very, or they were very like anti metal. There's like, so I could, they're like devil music, you know? So I could only practice it when they were gone. And I'll say about 6 months it took for me to like pop out and be like, hey, look what I can do. And then I was just starting to sing songs.
Nice. That's an awesome timeline, and honestly, like I said, everybody's timeline is different, so that's pretty quick too, so that's really awesome. So it sounds like the vocals, kinda came naturally with you as well. Have there been any challenges or difficulties with your YouTube channel?
Um, Other than songs getting copyrighted and taken down, I wouldn't say no, but that's been an issue. I have
Yeah,
like,
and is that getting worse? Are you having ones being copywritten now that, like, were fine for a while?
yeah,
Yeah, ugh,
um,
I've noticed that happening
so
too, so
annoying.
at least from my experience, most of the time they'll just get demonetized, but I haven't really had it happen too often where they kinda, like, mute your sound
Mhm.
completely, but I don't know if that's happened to you a lot with the metal
Yeah,
genre.
they'll actually just remove it from YouTube, like make
Oh,
it.
the whole video?
Yeah, that's what.
Dang. Yeah, that sucks. I'm glad
Yeah.
they have that new feature now when you go to upload a video, it'll tell you. It'll
Oh.
tell you yeah, it'll tell you, like, what the fate of the video is, but then again, like you said, they're going
Mm.
back and retroactively changing things, so I guess that still doesn't really mean anything, but yeah, I definitely understand that challenge. But awesome to hear, like, otherwise it's been a good experience. So what has been the best part about having your YouTube channel?
Um, Getting recognized at like metal shows. I've always been like the person like keep my head down, be invisible really. And with this YouTube channel, it's like a complete opposite of what I'm like used to. So that's pretty cool. Just getting recognized at a show. That was really cool.
And it's mostly, do you mostly attend shows in Texas, or do you go kinda travel for shows?
Yeah, no, it's just Texas. Yeah.
Nice. So, are you getting kind of semi like, are you getting, like, famous in the local scene? I don't know if the word famous is right, but,
Um,
like, well known in
yeah,
this local scene.
yeah. I mean, honestly, right now I haven't gone to shows as much as I used to, but there was a point where I wouldn't say famous, but I guess people know who I am. But I don't know. Yeah, yeah, I guess.
How fun. And who are if you don't mind me asking, who are some of your favorite bands in, your local scene?
In my local scene, so it would be God Hand. I love God Hand. They're probably my favorite. And then there was Alpha Virus. And then there's I can't remember their name. I'm terrible with names.
No worries. I know that's, like, on the spot, but I have not heard of either of those bands, so you just gave me 2 bands to check out. So, thank you. And then if you remember, we can always give them a shout out in the,
Okay.
description later.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, awesome. Uh, so diving into your discography of, musical work, it looks like the first band that you posted original music with was Manalyth, and Manalyth seems to be a two-person project. So how did you meet Bordy, and, how did you start making music together?
I met him through my YouTube. So I think he reached out to me in a uh in a comment. and um well, they're a she now. So she reached out to me in a comment and they in one of my YouTube channels, and we started to email back and forth, and she asked if I wanted to do vocals, and I was I was like, yeah, and then it just started from there. She sent me a song, and I think the first song we ever did was "It Lives." So,
Awesome. I thought it was the Fudge.
oh, it might have been, honestly. My memory is very bad.
No
It's very
worries.
cool.
So is mine. I used to drink a lot, so
Mm.
my memory's like fully affected. Um, but yeah, okay. So did she discover you through your YouTube channel?
Yeah.
Okay, nice. That's awesome. And that's one of the things I love about social media and YouTube too, is it like allows you to connect with musicians. They can like see what you have to offer in terms of like being a vocalist or guitarist or whatever, and make connections that way. Um, so that's really awesome. Now the Fudge, which I don't know if it was the first song you all worked on, but it's definitely the first song that was put up on Spotify.
Mm.
I've become obsessed with that song because I've never heard anything like that. Like honestly, that's kind of like a funk kind of style of music with like heavy vocals. And I want to hear more stuff like that where it's like heavy vocals with the kind of a mismatch of music. So how did you all come up with that concept if you remember? Because the lyrics, if I'm not mistaken, are literally just like a recipe for fudge, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's so awesome. I love it.
Um, honestly, uh, she makes all the instrumentals. I think that was just lying around, and like in her computer. So kind of just did it as like a little teaser joke. So that's what I can remember. So
So was the fudge recipe your idea? Do you remember? Or
no, I believe it was her. She just
oh, okay.
put a recipe in the messages, and yeah.
That's so awesome. I love it. Like everything about that song is so unique. So that got me hooked on Manalyth because I discovered Manalyth after the Ogre Packet Slammers, but after hearing that song, I was hooked for sure. So moving into 2018, that's when we see the first releases of the Ogre Packet Slammers. Giant Green Destruction was the first release as a solo. So, how did the concept come to be for having a whole band dedicated to Shrek? And who was involved in the creation of that concept?
So it was not me, actually. I joined the band later, but it started as a joke on Xbox, the drummer and the guitarist. So they were like on an Xbox Live party, and I wasn't there. This is just what I've been told, and it just came up like that. And I think they had another vocalist originally, but something happened with them, and they reached out to me. They found me through my YouTube too, and they reached out to me, and I was like, yeah, and yeah.
Awesome. So, oh, hello, Regina Michelle. Thank you for being here, and thank you for the super sticker. That's super sweet and always much appreciated. So thank you so much, seriously, and thank you everyone for engaging in the chat. Um, yeah, that's awesome. So when they approached you after finding your YouTube channel, did they say, "Hey, you want to be in this like Shrek themed deathcore band," or like what did they say?
Um, well, they asked if I wanted to be in their band, and they told me the name, the Ogre Packet Slammers, and it never really clicked with me. I guess they forgot to tell me it was Shrek themed at first, and the name never really clicked with me. So like the first song, Green Giant Destruction, it's not even about Shrek. It was just like a hardcore, brutal, like just a basic deathcore song, And yeah.
It's interesting though because it fits like you could take like any lyrics, like just make up, like some death metal brutal stuff. But then because of the theme of your band, it just becomes Shrek doing it, which just makes it so hilarious. And that's one of the reasons like I love you guys because like even in Giant Green Destruction, like I am the king of misery. I am here to begin my reign. It's like, and then you imagine it as Shrek. It just makes it even better, honestly. So that's awesome. So when did you start realizing it was, or like when did they fully kind of share the concept that it was about Shrek? And did you start writing songs specifically from Shrek's perspective after that?
Yeah, so I think I only wrote 2 songs for the whole album, and I recorded 3 because one was a cover. I think it was Sunshine Starship, something like that. And
Hello, Starshit.
yeah,
Or Good Morning, Starshit, I think. Yeah.
yeah. And so I recorded 2 songs. I forgot the other one. I forgot what the other one's called on it, but you can tell from the lyrics it's not really Shreky, but I tried my hardest to tie it up with the rest of the album. But yeah, it was after that they told me it was about Shrek because I think they could tell the lyrics for that song were a little off. So they're like, "This is about Shrek," and I was like, "Oh, all right."
That's kind of funny that they waited like after 2 songs to make sure you knew the concept, but like I said, it still works. It totally still works. Yeah. Awesome. So did you decide to cover All Star? Well, I guess like they already knew the concept was Shrek. So was that kind of in the plans for them to cover All Star because it was a Shrek related band?
Yeah, probably. And honestly, just I feel like it's kind of mandatory if you're going to be like a Shrek themed band, you got to cover All Star.
Yeah, definitely. It's like a rite of passage for sure.
Yeah.
Awesome. So to me, I listen to death metal and other genres where they talk about blood, gore, sexual assault, violence, etc. For me personally, that's usually not part of the appeal. It's kind of just like happens to be the lyrics. But in rare exceptions, it is like cattle decapitation. I really like all of those themes because it goes along with social commentary. And same with the Ogre Packet Slammers because it's about Shrek doing all of this like really violent, violent stuff. So I think it's hilarious. Um, so is it mostly just for fun and to be funny, or is there any kind of connection with Shrek and the lyrics on a deeper level?
Yeah, no, it's just for like shits and giggles. Yeah, all jokes.
Awesome. I love it. Awesome. So, some of your band members are based in the Bay Area. So, how does it work to create music together? I know obviously now that's not rare with just the way that we have access to everything, with, like the internet. But what's it been like creating music with people basically online?
Um, it's pretty I don't know, it's pretty simple to me. Like I'm sure like when you're together in a room, there's like a creative process that like happens that like I'm just not aware of. But they just send me the instrumentals and then I record over it, I write to it, and then send it back. It's just back and forth like that. And they like for the next album, I'm getting like input like on because for the first album, I guess the instrumentals are pretty much already done for most of it. But yeah, I'm getting a lot more input on the second album on like how things are going. But yeah, it's just pretty send.
Nice. And I know you said that you really haven't had much experience, or it sounds like you haven't had experience with like a different type of process. So it sounds like this process works for you. Do you think that you prefer this, or would you like to try like in-person collaborations as well?
In-person collaborations will be cool. I'd like to try that sometime. But this works for me, I guess. I mean, it's all I've known, so
That makes sense. And that's awesome too, because obviously you have to have the skills to like record it yourself. And is there some level of like mastering that you do yourself, or is that all just like send it over and they handle all that?
No, I just send it over and they handle all of it. I've tried to I've tried to learn, but I guess it's like with the instruments, I'm just don't have the patience, and I'm never like sticking with it.
Same. Like, I have so much to learn about just like audio production in general, and I just always feel like, where do I start? Like, it's not my favorite thing, but it's definitely on my list. But that's awesome. So great to hear that you enjoy that process of collaborating with them like that, and really excited to hear you're working on another album. So have you all ever toured or done live shows together?
We've never done a live show
Have you
ever.
even met in person, by the way?
Yeah.
Okay.
I met Ogre Packet Slammers. I met them. I don't remember. I think maybe 2018, 19, maybe 20. I don't know. I met them some time ago. They came to Houston and we went to a show. We went to a show. We went to go see Slaughter to Prevail, Body Snatcher. And I think there was someone else there, but I can't quite remember them. But
Fun. So, did they fly out to meet you since you were joining the band and then go to a show together?
yeah, 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 they flew out. This was like after the album came out, I think already. But yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool. I'm glad that they were able to make it out. Um, Awesome. And oh, by the way, thank you, Rouge the Goth, for being here. I got to hang out with Rouge the Goth a few weeks ago for another interview. And Brody says, I hope to meet sometime in the future.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh my gosh, and fundamentals, thank you so much. That is too sweet. You really did not have to do that. We have an interview with YouTuber and reseller extraordinaire fundamentals coming out this week in on Wednesday. I usually do the week sorry, words. I usually do interviews on the weekend, but we pre-recorded this one a long time ago. So that one's coming out Wednesday. So thank you so much for the super chat. Very much appreciated. Thank you again, everyone in the chat, for engaging. Okay, awesome. So, in July of 2020, uh, there was the pandemic, which obviously impacted everybody. You had a release with Manalyth and the album Blood Moon. So, how did the lockdown affect your musical projects, or did it? Like, did it give you more space to create, or did it hinder you in any sort of way?
No, actually. It From what I can remember, it affected nothing at all because our process pretty much stayed the same. It didn't change at all. So yeah,
That that makes sense. I
yeah,
guess it's one of the bright sides of being able to connect virtually.
yeah.
Yeah. Uh, okay, let's see. So, you had some Manolith and the Ogre Packet Slammers released in 2018. And going back a little bit, then 2019 comes around, and it looks like it was all Ogre Packet Slammers that year. So, what was the reception to the full album of The Giant Green Destruction when that came out in 2019?
It was good. It was better than we expected. Like way better. Way better. Like the first week or the first 3 days on YouTube, the video was doing very, very well. And it like blew our expectations completely out of the water. We were like completely surprised. And a lot of people liked it, surprisingly. So good for us.
I love that you keep saying, like, surprisingly.
Yeah, I mean, like we really weren't expecting that, and to do like get that many numbers that fast on YouTube, it was really crazy.
Do you feel like, well, obviously the music is amazing. So, like, everything, the instrumentals, the vocals, like sonically, it's really good. So there's that. And then you have the element of Shrek, which is of course fun, which I think draws some people in. Did you feel like you all had a good kind of connections with the scene before that, like, people were anticipating music from any of you, or do you really just think it was the music and the theme that stood on its own?
Probably the music and the theme. Yeah, I think the theme really got a lot of people.
Yeah, that's how I found the Ogre Packet Slammers. I was just like on Spotify, and Spotify recommended. It was like recommendation for you, and I just saw the little Shrek, the little Shrek peeking on the album cover, and I was like, "What is this?" And instantly loved it from the intro. Hear me roar with the kind of
Mhm,
like horror edit of that
mhm,
clip from Shrek. That was awesome. That
yeah,
hooked me right away.
yeah.
Okay, great. So, then in July of 2020, you released a single under the band Ascensions of, how did you say it again?
Azrael.
Azrael. Okay. Ascensions of Azrael. Can you tell us about that project and if that project is going to continue?
So that project is between it was me and then there was a Devin Duarte, the vocalist for Worm Shepherd, and then it was Trey, I forgot his last name. But he's a part of Worm Shepherd too, and he tours for Blood of Blood, I think the band is called. But yeah, so and then we had a drummer. I can't remember his name either, but he's the drummer for a band called Knifeful. I think I pronounced that right. And we kind of all just came together, another internet project, and decided to make music. And we made the one song, and then we're gonna work on like on a 5-song EP, but we just got caught up in like other things. And the band is not really, we haven't broke up or anything, but if we end up making music in the future together, then it happens. If we don't, we don't.
That makes sense. As opposed to just like, it's not a decision that you're not making music. It's just like, hey, if it happens again, awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so moving into 2021, we get a Chelsea Grin cover, Recreant with the Ogre Packet Slammers. So on the cover of the single, it's Fiona. So is the song sung in the perspective of Shrek about Fiona, or am I overthinking it? Either way, it's the best version of that song that I've heard.
Thank you, but no, it's not sung in the perspective of her. It's just a little cover. Yeah.
It's a great cover, though.
Thank you.
Okay, awesome. So then in 2021, we also get a Manalyth single, Butcher, and your first release as a solo artist. Lies, the only thing you ever told me was the name of the song. So, what inspired you to start making music as a solo artist?
So at that time I was going to talk therapy, and my therapist at the time, he told me to start writing down like how I'm feeling or whatever. He really just told me to, he literally told me to make songs about how I'm feeling, to like as like a way to vent or whatever. So that's when I decided to create Zxyvixs. That was during the pandemic, I believe. Um, so I just went under my middle name, Zxyvixs, changed a couple letters, and yeah.
Awesome. And thank you for being open and transparent about therapy, because I really always talk about mental health and the importance of mental health. So great to hear that you've been getting support for that, because so many people go without support for mental health or don't even think it's something to be addressed. So thank you for, promoting that and being honest and transparent about that as well. Did you find therapy to be helpful?
No.
No, it happens. Sometimes you don't get paired with the right therapist. There's so many different types of therapy. So you didn't find like the talk therapy to be helpful?
Not at all.
Oh no.
I
Did
mean, that was good advice. Making the music,
the music?
no.
So the good advice that came from that was making the music, but the therapy itself was like not helpful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
time consuming and a waste of money, honestly.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm sorry to
But
hear that, but I'm glad you got the one good thing out of
yeah,
therapy.
yeah. I mean, works for some people, works for everyone's different.
Yeah, definitely. And also, I have to say just from my experience, it really depends on the therapist too. Like,
Yeah, I was
yeah.
honestly probably just need to get paired up with another one.
Yeah. And even so, like you said, there's so many different types of therapy out there. Like there's some light thing where you just stare at the light,
Mhm.
and I've heard that that helps a lot of people, which has nothing
Yeah.
to do with talking to anybody. I've been curious about that one, but yeah, just even in terms of talk therapy, I think I had to go through like 7 different therapists before I found one that I felt actually helped me. So it is rough out there, but I'm glad that you found something from the therapy that helped, which is like writing songs. So that's also good to hear that that actually helps because um I've had other guests who also said the same thing, that just like releasing things through songs or some sort of creative project like really helps with mental health as well.
Mhm.
So yeah, thank you for sharing that. So how would you describe the music that you make in your solo work to someone who's never heard it before?
Honestly, I still have a hard time trying to do that now. Um, I usually just say it's like screaming. It's like trap metal, but with deathcore vocals. That's I don't know.
I think that's fair because like the music in the background, and I would say that's like a fairly new genre hybrid still.
Yeah, there's some artists that make music like that, but it's hasn't really been given its own name. I've seen death trap thrown around or trap core, but I don't know. It hasn't really been given a name.
Eventually, it will. Awesome. Well, that's cool. So you're like kind of on the front lines of a new and emerging genre, which is awesome. And Virginia said the light thing, going back to therapy, the light thing is EMDR, which is
Uh,
good to know. Yeah.
yeah.
For anyone out there interested in trying different forms of therapy. So based on the title of the song alone, well, you kind of touched on this already. So, but it sounds like there's some personal experiences to whatever level you feel comfortable sharing. What are the songs that you've released in your solo project about? But you do not have to answer that because now obviously we know it is personal.
Mm. Yeah, it's fine. So lies. Uh, my best friend at the time, she like went out and she just hurt my feelings intentionally, and yeah, I just like felt betrayed by that. So that's how that song came about. And what are the other songs? I thought I
Oh,
was doing better.
yes, I was about to bring that title up because as someone with bipolar disorder, that's like so relatable. Sorry, you're gonna say
Yeah,
the name of the title.
yeah. I thought I was getting better. I was simply having a manic episode. Um, yeah. So that the title, real life. I thought I was getting better, but came to realize I was just having a manic episode. So, and the lyrics for that song, when I wrote that song, it wasn't like lies I just wrote down like 10 minutes, but I thought I was getting better. Those are like lines I had written down like weeks, days, months prior, and I was just going through my little notepad and I was listening to the beat and it just like clicked, click, 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 clicked. And so that's how that song happened. And what are my other songs? Um,
That's a good question.
I don't know which ones I've released. I don't remember.
Yeah, okay, those are the 2 I knew off the top of my head, and but yeah, thank you for sharing that because seriously, that title is so relatable. When I saw the title of that song, I was like, "This is like everyday life." Like, if I'm not going through the depression mode, then I'm, like, going into the manic and I'm like, "Oh, I'm getting better," and then it's like, "Oh, actually, you're not. You're
Yeah,
just you're just going through the hypomania. I'm lucky, like I go through hypomania, so it's not as extreme for me. I know people who go through like regular mania can be really intense and equally as destructive as the depression. But yeah, either way, it's still relatable because if I could live in hypomania, I wouldn't mind. I'm not gonna lie. Like, feels
Yeah.
nice to be in hypomania.
Uh,
Yeah. But yeah, no, seriously, thank you for being open about that. That's really awesome. Really relate to the title of that song, especially. Um, so 2022 was mostly a quiet year for most of the bands that we've been talking about. But you were featured on a track with Worm Shepherd, and you brought up that a lot of the members of Worm Shepherd were in the other project that you were part of. So how did you? Well, I guess that explains it. I was going to ask, how did you get that collab? Were you all friends before? And I guess like, how did you all meet?
um. So I met Trey, the guitarist, through my YouTube, and he did a song on the he did a couple of solos, I believe, guitar work on the Ogre Packet Slammers album. And yeah, so I met him through my YouTube, known him for some time. And then I met Devin. I met him through my YouTube too, or yeah, through YouTube or my covers on Facebook. He reached out. I remember he asked me for like vocal advice or like vocal lessons, which confused me because I thought he was better than me. He was like, his vocals were really crazy unique. But yeah, anyway, that's how we met. And yeah, so he reached out, asked me if I wanted to do a feature on his album. I was like, yeah. And so when they went to go record it, he asked me if I could fly out, and I flew out, recorded it there with them in Tennessee.
So that was an in-person kind of collab.
Yeah, which was I seen how different things are, and it was really cool to see.
That's awesome. And I'm sure it also depends, like like everything else, like on who the group of people is and how you all work together. But that's awesome. Great to hear it was a good time because I'm a fan, definitely a fan of Worm Shepherd as well. So I loved seeing that you were on the collab with them. And I didn't know that they were the other members in um, Ascension of Azrael. So awesome to learn about that as well. So you released another single under, oh, let me see actually here, because I might have already asked this as well. Let me just double check. Okay, yeah. So last year you released another single in your solo project, and the Ogre Packet Slammers, Old Times, New Adventures. That song was definitely kind of more unique. Like I guess you could describe it as like a bit slower, and like the lyrics seemed a little more serious. And I know you said it's all for fun, but was there anything behind those lyrics for that song?
Okay, so for those lyrics, so for the first album, it was really just a bunch of songs just randomly placed. But I like albums with stories. So in the next album, I'm gonna try and tie up everything as like a story. And so, like the very last song of that album, I forgot what it's called, but Fiona gets kidnapped by Farquaad, and so it's kind of really just picking up from there.
Awesome. Yeah, because it sounded like a very serious, and it's interesting. I'm interested to see where you're gonna go with the story. Um, how are you gonna like embellish some things, make things up? I mean, obviously, like Farquaad capturing Fiona. I guess that kind of happened in the movies, but sounds like it's different the way that it happened in the song. Um, but are you gonna add like a lot of your own personal Shrek lore to the upcoming album?
Yeah, I'm gonna like I try to watch the Shrek and like remember like the characters and all that. But yeah, so as far as much as the lore, it's pretty much just gonna be all of my own thing, like a different universe.
Oh, that's awesome. Really exciting. And I have to say, Shrek was always, fun growing up, but I was never obsessed with Shrek. But after I started listening to the Ogre Packet Slammers, I started becoming obsessed with Shrek. I don't know if you could see my Shrek palette in the background. But I need to get some official Ogre Packet Slammers merch because I've been buying Shrek merch kind of in lieu, but I need to get some official merch. Do you all have any merch out now at this time?
We do. We have a site. We have a Teespring site, and I think it's linked on the band's Instagram, and it should be linked on the Facebook as well.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, because I don't use Facebook, and I think I remembered that's where I saw it, but I'll definitely add it to the description for anyone who wants any Ogre Packet Slammers merch. Uh, awesome. So, do you think that there are any live shows or tours in the works for the future?
We want to play live shows, but right now, it's just not gonna really work out as far as life goes for all of us.
I totally get that because it's like just everything it takes, the time you have to take away from life, the money that you have to front. It's a
Mm,
lot, but
yeah,
yeah, and especially because you all aren't even in the same city most of the time, so it's
yeah.
not like you could just like let's throw a show here. Um, but yeah, if there ever is one, I'll definitely be looking forward to that. Um, okay, well, yeah, seriously, thank you for your time here. This has been really awesome, very interesting. Your projects across the board are like definitely very interesting and unique, like Shrek being a theme, Manalyth being like progressive deathcore is like definitely very interesting. And like I said before, what you all did with the Fudge was really awesome. So yeah, thank you for taking the time. Definitely was awesome to learn more about you and all of your musical projects. So is there anything that you wish you would be asked, but that you've never been asked in an interview before?
Well, I've never had an interview before,
Oh
so
my gosh.
yeah,
Well, I'm honored to be
thank
your first interview.
yeah, this is cool. But no, I don't have any questions I can think of right now.
No worries. It's just because, as interviewers, you come up with questions, but it's like, hey, I wish someone would ask me this, and no one's ever asked me that before. So I just like to ask that. And then last, is there anything you'd like to say to your fans or anyone watching?
Um, Thanks for listening. Thanks for supporting the bands and all the music, and just to stay tuned because the music's coming. Just got to be patient.
We're all definitely patiently and excitedly awaiting, especially knowing that there's going to be like a whole storyline to the upcoming album. Awesome. Well, seriously, thank you so much for your time.
I
This was
think.
really amazing. Links in the description below. And we'll be looking forward to everything you have coming out in the future.
All right. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Thank you all in the chat. See y'all later.
See ya.